Welcome to today's report, the 20th of November 2024. So what's in store for us? Today, I'd like to talk about the Japanese yen, past, the present, and the future. So what has Japan been doing to the yen in the past? Japan has a long history of intervening in currency markets to manage the yen's value, primarily to support its export-driven economy. Over the past 25 years, the Bank of Japan implemented unconventional monetary easing policies, including zero interest rates, quantitative easing, and forward guidance to combat inflation and stimulate economic activity. Now, under the former Governor Kuroda, the BOJ embarked on aggressive measures such as massive asset buying programs and yield curve control to achieve a 2% inflation target. However, these policies had limited success in achieving sustainable inflation and were criticized for distorting asset prices and eroding banks' profitability. Now, recent reviews by the BOJ reflects an effort to analyze the drawbacks of these prolonged measures and pave way for gradual normalization. So what's happening right now in Japan is currently the yen is under significant pressure, trading near 154 to the dollar after a rapid depreciation since September 2024. BOJ's Governor Ueda has emphasized a cautious approach, stating that monetary policy adjustments will depend on economic data. The BOJ is expected to release a comprehensive review of its monetary policy, monetary tools in December, highlighting structural changes in Japan's economy that may justify higher interest rates. Now, despite growing speculations of BOJ's intervention to counter yen weakness, the likelihood remains slim unless the dollar-yen breaches the critical 160 mark. Okay? Market analysts anticipate that BOJ may hike interest rates in December by 25 basis points, while continuing to signal long-term support for economic activity. In parallel, developments in the US, such as the Fed's policies and rising treasury yields, further influence the yen's performance. Now, examples of current trends here is that the dollar-yen has rallied significantly, with potential to test the 160 level if bullish momentum continues. Now, the BOJ's hesitancy to commit to aggressive tightening dampens yen's recovery. Prospects for interventions are seen as a last resort. Rising inflation expectation in Japan and a tightening labor market signals potential structural shift towards sustainable economic growth. So that's what's happening at the current moment. Now, let's look into what could happen in the future. Now, Japan's monetary policy landscape is poised for change as the BOJ transitions away from its prolonged era of ultra-loose stimulus. This December review may provide a roadmap for gradual normalization with potential interest rate hikes and a tapering of assets purchases. However, these shifts carry risks, including potential impacts on public debt and economic growth. If the yen continues to weaken beyond critical levels, the BOJ may intervene in currency markets, though such measures are unlikely to yield long-term stability without broader policy changes. The yen's future will also depend on external factors such as US economic trends, Federal Reserve policies, and global market conditions. So here are the key scenarios for the yen. For a bullish scenario, sustained inflation and rising wages in Japan enable the BOJ to tighten monetary policy, strengthening the yen and restoring market confidence. So we need to look into these two things for a bullish scenario for the BOJ to tighten monetary policy. Now, what about a bearish scenario? We have a continued yen depreciation due to limited policy changes that they don't do anything, and external pressures forcing the BOJ to intervene or adjust in inflation targets. Now, this is a bearish scenario. What about a neutral scenario? Gradual normalization with limited rate hikes, keeping the yen range-bound but vulnerable to global economic shifts. So at the end of the day, if we have rising inflation in Japan and rising wages, then that in a way shows that the economy is good and they can sustain the tightening of monetary policy. So this is a good thing. So if we see that, then the dollar yen would come down, and because the yen gradually will strengthen. So this is something that we need to look at. So far we have definitely have rising wages right there. But whether this is going to continue or not, we shall see. Okay, then so the December is a very important month for Japan, because during that time we will have a roadmap whether to see whether the BOJ is heading towards gradual normalization or not. So stay tuned for that month. And with that, that's a report for today.